One of the things I talk about often on this channel is that immersion isn't built from a single thing. It's not just lighting, it's not just sound, it's not just props. It's the combination of dozens of little details working together to convince your players that for a few hours they've stepped into another world. Today I'd like to show you a tool I've been experimenting with called Scriptorium, Master of Manuscripts.
At the back of my studio, behind this door, is something special. A space where stories aren't just told, they're lived. Welcome to Pernicky Ricks, the ultimate guide to crafting spaces that don't just tell stories, they immerse you in them.
So it's been a while. As many of you know, I was at Hârn, Moot in Kansas City, and it was a fantastic trip. I ran a session using the Game Theater in a Box for a great group of fellow Hârn fans, finally met several online friends in person, and of course, enjoyed some outstanding Kansas City barbecue. From there, we headed to Los Angeles for Strategicon's Gamex, where I had the opportunity to present the Game Theater in the Worlds You Can Walk Into panel. We also gave away the Game Theater in a Box to one very lucky attendee. It's been a busy couple of months. My original plan was to bring back footage from both events and produce several videos for the channel. Unfortunately, thanks to a string of technical problems with my travel recording equipment, I came home with almost nothing usable. The good news is that the next Game Theater in a Box episode, covering the construction of the windows, is still on the way. And the blueprint plans for the project should be available very soon. So don't worry, that series is still very much alive. Today though, I'd like to talk about something I've been experimenting with both before my trip and since returning. It's called Scriptorium, Master of Manuscripts from Yaza Games. Now to be completely honest, I haven't actually played the game itself yet. I have, however, played one of Yaza's previous games, Illuminated, with its wonderfully bizarre medieval manuscript battles, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. When I learned they were releasing Scriptorium, Master of Manuscripts, and that it included a sandbox mode that essentially could be used as a medieval clip art and manuscript creation tool, it immediately landed on my wish list. I downloaded the demo as soon as it became available. The full release happened just before Hârn Moot, which gave me just enough time to create a few pieces that I could actually use for the convention. So today, rather than review the game itself, I'd like to show you how I've been using it to create props and gaming aids for my tabletop campaign. I don't have Steam installed on my main design workstation, but I do have it on the machine I use as my print server. So let's head over there and take a look. So the software itself is really easy to navigate. Everything starts from a single main menu, and clicking Sandbox opens up either a blank page or an entire blank book to work from. Along the side, you'll find a large library of artwork organized into categories, including people, animals, plants, furniture, buildings, decorative borders, initials, and much more. Let's take a quick look through some of what's available. Now let's create something I can actually use. This Saturday is game night for my Hârn group, and I need a graphic for a reminder email. Since Gil has become a regular around here, and you've probably seen some of the artwork I've made of him using Scriptorium, let me show you how I built one of those illustrations. First, you need to find the parts for Gil's body. The skeletal components can be found in the sidebar menu labeled Hell. There's a pre-made skeleton available, but I prefer to build Gil from individual skeletal components. Simply drag each component onto the canvas and position it where you want it. Whenever an art component is selected, a toolbar appears that allows you to scale, rotate, and move objects in front of or behind existing items. Gil's pike can be found in the building section. There are two types of objects. Some have a pre-selected color scheme, indicated by a solid colored water droplet icon. Others have a customizable color scheme, indicated by a rainbow colored water droplet icon. Gil's pike, I believe, is actually intended to represent a ship's mast. I layer two of them together and hide the seam behind his body to make the pike long enough. Now let's give him a helmet. The program doesn't include a Norman-style nasal helm, so this one serves as a good stand-in. The stone block supporting his pike is built from two components found in the building section. Once everything is assembled, simply export the finished image as a PNG. There. Now that Gil, my clip art piece, is finished and exported as a PNG, let's take it over to my design computer and finish up the reminder graphic. Now you can build the entire document in Scriptorium, but since I use Corel Draw almost every day, I prefer to do my final layout there. It gives me much greater control over the size, shape, and placement of elements, as well as typography than Scriptorium alone provides. Of course, you can use whatever software you're most comfortable with. Adobe Illustrator, Canva, and countless other design programs work just as well for finishing your document. I like to add a parchment texture from my own image library, although you could just as easily export one of Scriptorium's background textures and use that instead. To give the document a more aged appearance, I also apply a grunge filter that creates subtle wear and breaks up the solid areas of ink. There. I think that'll make the perfect game night reminder for my players. Now let's head over to the work table and take a look at a few other things I've created using Scriptorium. This is the tabletopper I designed for the Road to Mariel adventure that I ran at Hârn. I actually reprinted it for this video because I gave the original one to one of my players after the convention. And these are the character sheets I created for my own campaign. Each one is designed as an illuminated scroll and features a custom decorated initial based on the character's first name, with artwork reflecting that character's profession and role in the world. The section dividers, borders, decorative flourishes, and many of the other graphic elements were created using Scriptorium as well. Both of these projects were finished much in the same way as the simple gill illustration. Once I had the manuscript artwork created, I imported it into my desktop publishing software to complete the final layout. In this case, they're printed on vinyl banner material, so my players can write on them with wet erase markers, but you certainly don't have to go that far. A home printer and a few sheets of paper can produce documents that have just as much impact at the table. Like so many creative tools, the real limit's your imagination. Thanks for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you don't miss future episodes. Your support really helps the channel grow. And if you know someone who enjoys tabletop gaming, world building, or immersive game design, I'd appreciate it if you'd share the channel with them. Till next time, keep dreaming big, and may your games always have the spaces they deserve.